I feel like Reddit is one of the most honest social media platforms out there because everybody on it is, for the most part, anonymous. And because you're anonymous, you do have within subreddits a lot of extreme views and extreme opinions. However, within certain subreddits, within certain categories, I think there is a lot of truth and a lot of tips to it because a lot of people can be vulnerable in a way that they wouldn't otherwise be. And so I decided to go into this shopping addiction subreddit, which I've been a member of since I started this channel. There's about 51,000 members. And so I was like, okay, this channel, my channel, is about how I overcame my shopping addiction and really got control of my impulsive buying tendencies. And after years of trying to budget and failing, how I kind of got a handle of that. But this is just my view in what worked for me. I'm one person. So I decided to go into the shopping addiction subreddit and scroll through all of the posts of all time since the subreddit started to pick out the very top ideas and tips that these Redditors, are they called Redditors, had for people to stop shopping. I went through all of them, which took a while, but I wanted to see if there was anything new, different, interesting that we haven't necessarily talked about on this channel. And there are. They might not all be new, but there's different ways to frame it and different ways to look at it. So I wanted to share that with you. And I also think it's worth noting that I would assume there are a lot of reasons why we live paycheck to paycheck and why we have a difficult time budgeting. But it is my assumption that there are a lot of people out there who actually have, my dog's going after a rabbit. There are a lot of people out there, he would never harm the rabbit or else I would not allow that. There are a lot of people out there who I would say have a tendency to shop more than they should and might not even realize it. I organize all of this information into a nice little sheet. So let's go through that now. And if I miss anything, if you've watched my channel for a while and if I miss anything here or I haven't mentioned anything in the past and you're like, this is something that needs to be noted because it's worked for me or worked for somebody that you know, leave it below in the comments because I read them all. Even if I cannot respond to all of the comments, I promise you I see all of them. It's just at some point it becomes overwhelming and it takes a long time to respond to all comments. It feels impossible. So I see them and I read them, but I might not respond to them, all of them. And I think that other commenters also see those comments. So let's all help each other out here. Okay. Let's get into it. The next one is to find your why. And that can be very vague. So I'll be very specific here because I think this person's story kind of nails it down. So this Redditor was very high up there in the comments and likes and reactions. And so basically what she said, she found her why. If I might tell the story a little wrong, but for the most part, I read it, but I read a lot of them. So I might be a little fuzzy on it. Anyway, so she said that she had a major shopping addiction for years and years, spending tens and tens of thousands of dollars on clothes and shoes or whatever. And so I guess there was a local boutique in her area that she has shopped at for a long time and spent thousands of dollars there. So she goes shopping there, has bags of stuff in the back of her car, goes home, and then sees on social media that boutique owner was in Italy. And the boutique owner, who I guess she knew and became friends with because she had shopped there so much, was traveling around Italy and showcasing this beautiful life. And she stopped. And she said that from that moment on, she decided and stuck to it that she would not shop like that anymore, because what she realized was she wasn't angry at the shop owner for being in Italy, obviously, but she's like, I always wanted to go on the trip that she was on. She said, my tendency to shop so much helped her go on that Italy vacation and stopped me from living that dream and going on that vacation. And so that was her why. And essentially she reframed it and saying, I was putting all of my money in somebody else's pocket instead of putting it towards something that was super important to me. And I think that that's a really powerful way to think about it. And I started to think that way when I did a luxury video in the past few months, a few months ago, on all of these luxury designers and all the money I had spent on all of these designer items that was a waste. And that was one of the triggering things for me, is that I was giving all of my money away to these companies, public and private, and organizations that were, I felt like, there's not one person like laughing at me, but just basically like the joke's on us because we're paying such a premium, such high prices for these items that they're overpriced by thousands of dollars, and we're paying for it because of a brand. And so that's kind of the same thing. So anyway, roundabout way of saying, like, figure out your why, figure out a way to frame it in a way that kind of makes you angry and like, what the hell am I doing? And if you have to think of it like, I'm giving this boutique owner my money instead of saving it for something that's special to me, or I'm giving, if you want to use designer, LVMH, I'm giving them all of my money, thousands of dollars, instead of putting it towards something that would be useful to me. Piggybacking off of that, a lot of the Redditors, are they called Redditors? I have no idea. A lot of the writers, what are they? Bloggers? No. I need to like look this up. Where's my phone? What are people who write on Reddit and make posts on Reddit called? I said Redditors, it thought I said predators, commonly called Redditors. Nailed that. Piggybacking off of that is also to use anger at these marketing tactics, which is kind of what I just said, in the same vein that it is something that really got me angry with the luxury market. And a lot of the Redditors who wrote on this in different posts, it's not just one person, I went through what felt like way over 100 of them, said that they at some point got angry and kind of reframed it and looked at the marketing tactics from a different point of view and was dissuaded from buying simply by looking at the way that all of these companies were trying to sell something through FOMO. FOMO was a big one mentioned, like last two before it sells out, or sale ends tomorrow. And so a lot of the people talking about this ended up getting mad at these companies who were using essentially manipulative tactics to get you to buy something. I think that's a less common way to try to get control of your shopping addiction, is to get angry at them. But it can be really effective depending on who you are and your personality, and if you can really try to pay attention to what they're doing to try to sell you something. The next tactic is that a lot of these Redditors talked about calling out, literally either writing down or saying out loud the sneaky reasons of why we buy. Most of the time we're trying to fix a feeling. And so instead of, anytime I used to shop, I would feel something, but it was the feeling, whether it was anxiety or low self-esteem and low confidence, it was always buzzing in the background. It was never something that I was fully aware of and fully top of mind. It was a feeling. It was never something I dug into and actually investigated. And so what these Redditors are saying is that before you make the purchase, you have to sit down with yourself and, almost like a therapist, figure out exactly why you want to buy that thing. For example, I want to buy beauty stuff because I'm not happy with my appearance right now. And it's not to say that that will stop you, but I think writing it down, saying out loud, talking to somebody about it could at least lessen the urge and make you aware. And so that was one thing that always happened to me, because I had low self-esteem most of my life, was that I always purchased items, beauty items, clothing, because I did not feel good about my looks. I felt quite unattractive. And the same thing goes for somebody, let's say, that is not feeling fit and they want to feel motivated to go to the gym. And so they start looking at clothing. They start shopping at Alo Yoga, and they start shopping at Lululemon, buying all of this workout gear in an effort to motivate themselves to go to the gym, in an effort to get in shape. And also, which I've done in the past, and I know I'm not the only one, is there's so many times that my house has been a mess, And so I will go out. I've done such damage at Pottery Barn or the Container Store buying like so many different organization things because my house was a mess, and I'm like, I'm gonna be an organized person and I'm gonna use all this stuff to organize. When really, if you drill down to any of them, the looks thing, what it is I would have had to realize that I'm me. Like I can't hide my face. I can somewhat camouflage it. I can increase my attractiveness a little bit because what you wear, I do think, produces confidence, but it's not going to make such a vast difference that I would have to go out and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on new products and new pieces of clothing and shoes or whatever all of the time, right? And same thing with workout gear. It's not, buying new clothes will not motivate you to go to the gym. What you have to do is just make sure you have one piece of clothing to work out in, and then just get the discipline and go to the gym. And same thing with organizing your house. What I needed to do was just clean the hell out of it. Just clean it and throw away a bunch of stuff. I wouldn't have had to organize anything if I just got rid of all the crap that I didn't need. So anyway, bringing this back, call out your stuff. Call out your reason. Talk to somebody about it. Write it down. Literally say it out loud. I even saw one that said they would get on camera and speak and tell the camera, even just for themselves, not for a social or anything, why they wanted to buy the thing or multiple things. These are some oddball, but I think pretty smart tips. This was one of these posts had a very high reaction, and so this is why this was up there, is the person said that they imagine themselves being a character in a movie. Now this wouldn't work for me because I'm not a big movie buff, and that's just not my thing, so it wouldn't work. But if you are, what he or she said, they assign themselves a character style like a character in a main show. Because if you think about characters in certain shows, for example, I'm watching Mobland right now, or The Diplomat, which are two shows that I'm loving. The main characters always have staple clothing that they wear. You never see them dress one way and dress another crazy way next episode. They'll have like the simple theme, whatever that is. And so this person said, I imagine myself being a character in a show, and they choose staple pieces that only define that look and will only wear that type of clothing. And so they're essentially the character in their own show. They've defined their look, and that's what they stick with. And if you think about, he's a very common example, but if you think about Steve Jobs and his black turtleneck, that was one of them. A lot of these people that you see, public figures, have their kind of staple looks. So that is one way to kind of get around it. I thought about doing this a while ago, and I realized it probably wouldn't work for me because I get bored really quickly, and that's one of the reasons why I shopped so much, because I get really bored. But if you don't, it might be a good way. I considered, because I really love the look of just a white button-up collared shirt with either a skirt or a pair of jeans or a pair of pants. And so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with those, like that basic staple. But I don't think that would work for my personality. But if it does for you, it's a good way to think about it. Being a character like on a show, and that's your style and you're sticking with it. Next one for odd but smart tips is to prevent the I have nothing to wear syndrome by pre-planning 5 outfits for events that have not happened yet. And so I was a big culprit of this. I would buy so many different dresses and outfits for special events that were not scheduled, and I did not know if they would ever happen, but just in case, I would have them in my closet and be ready to go. And so what they said was, go into your closet now, look at it, and know whether it's a black tie or a wedding guest or a birthday. Make sure you have 5 special occasion outfits that you can go to. You don't have to stress, you don't have to think about it. The only way that this can be dangerous is if you actually don't have any special wear or occasion wear, then you feel the need to go out and buy that. And that's tough because you don't know what you're buying it for. So this really only works if you already have it in your closet. Don't keep buying and buying, which I did. I had plenty of special occasion outfits, and I would still buy just in case. So I could have easily done this, had the 5 outfits pre-planned, ready to go. But don't go out and buy 5 special wear outfits just in case if you don't have them. And the last one of the odd but pretty smart tips is to binge watch hoarder shows to kind of de-influence yourself to shopping. This one, I don't love hoarder shows. It's not really my thing. But what I do like is seeing a lot of declutter videos. That is not only satisfying, but it also makes you realize how much crap people accumulate, especially beauty influencers and fashion influencers. And when you see how much they're giving away, you realize that it's overconsumption to the extreme and that most of us don't need a lot of that stuff. And so I love minimalism videos and declutter videos and underconsumption videos. So that can be a really good tactic. Next one is to come up with an imaginary accountability partner. And so what one person said was they imagined what their grandmother would say about them making these purchases, especially if they knew what they already owned. And so my grandmother in this case wouldn't work, but it would be anybody that you really respect. And so if I was to think about my sister or my boyfriend or somebody, and if I was still shopping, right, and let's say I wanted to buy a few dresses, and I was to talk to my boyfriend about it, he probably wouldn't judge me, or my sister probably wouldn't judge me, but they'd give me a little bit of a side eye and be like, what the hell are you doing? And it's not like you actually have to talk to them. If you imagine, which is not hard to do, their reaction and what they would say to you knowing what you were buying and what you already own. Or you can also flip that too and just look at it from a different point of view and just imagine what you would say to a friend who is doing the exact same thing. If you had a friend who had a closet full of clothes or endless tech gadgets and they were still going out and buying more, what would you do? What would you say? If you flip it that way, it's a pretty good way to analyze it. The next one is in the category of visual illusion. I've spoken about this before, but I think it's worth stressing and talking about again, because at least for me, I can forget and lose sight. So it's just a friendly reminder. No one really notices any new stuff that you have going on. You're the same person in slightly different packaging. Nobody really notices the $600 pair of shoes or the $1,000 handbag or the new dress. I think the only way, what I would say to this is that I wholeheartedly agree that if I had a lipstick obsession for a while, and so I had endless colors, and I had so many different eye palettes for one time, and tons of skincare, and just endless stuff really. And for the most part, anybody close to me in my life or in the public would not have known. The amount of stuff I bought did not bring that much value into my life, and it was not noticeable to anybody. The only difference it made was some of the confidence it gave me, but I didn't have to shop in such excess. And so all right, I'll speak for myself. I don't want to say we because I don't know what you do, but I bought things to essentially impress other people. That's essentially why I shop. So I would appear a certain way, so I would fit into certain circles, and so I would be accepted. People would like me, and it's all aesthetic, so I would appear a certain way. But if you actually break it down, you are no different to that person with whether you have the Louis Vuitton bag or you don't. You are no different to that person whether your shoes are $100 or $20. I want to get my nails done, right? I really miss my nails. But the fact is that nobody's treating me differently because I do not have my nails done. It is the exact same thing. I even had one person comment that, one girl, her and I talk about it. But other than her, nobody has mentioned the fact that I do or do not have my nails done. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. The only person that cares is you. And if you think about it, you don't care about anyone else. I don't care what anyone else is wearing. I do not care. It does not affect my life. You do what you want to do. And so if I look at it from that point of view, if I think about anybody, if anybody, especially people I didn't know, were wearing something to impress me, because that's what I was doing, a person that they didn't know, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I don't care. I don't care. And so if you flip that, like, what am I doing? Why am I buying things to impress somebody else? It's a mind F. If you really think about it, if I really drill down, it will mess you up. So yeah, you got to be mindful about it. The next one that people really related to was to shop your closet like a boutique. But it wasn't just like, oh, let's just go into my closet and see what I have. What a few Redditors recommended and what most commenters loved is that what these, I assume women, but I don't really know, went into their closet and took out all of their clothes, essentially removed the things that they have not worn in a long time, steamed everything so it was sharp and precise and crisp, which I would never do because I hate ironing and I hate steaming, but that's another story. They color-coded all of their items and then put them back into their closet, trying to display it in a way that a fashion or luxury boutique would. And so these clothes are not, mushed together and jammed in and you can't find anything. It is clear, there is space, it is color coordinated, and then they took it a step further once it was nicely presented and organized, is they would make 5 to 10 outfits and do a lookbook. There are apps that allow you to easily create lookbooks within your closet now. I've never tried one, but I know that they exist. And so once they had it presented a certain way, they go in, make outfits, do lookbooks. And so they essentially started shopping their closet. And a lot of the people who had tried this said that it almost gave them the same dopamine rush as shopping when they went back into their closet and tried different ways to style it, different ways to try it, creating photos and different, putting together different pieces and just, the whole process of organizing was really great for them. I don't know if that would work for me. The whole decluttering one is really effective. I love the decluttering part. That really helped me. That's what I started with this whole channel. I really started with the declutter and going through my bank account. And so that really helped me start this process. Shopping my closet, I don't know if it would, but it might help you. And the last one is I think it's pretty straightforward. A lot of us know this, but it's just worth reiterating, is to try to identify as somebody who used to shop. So if you have a massive shopping addiction, you are an ex-shopaholic. If you say you are trying to, and this is recommended in all different facets and categories, but if you say, oh, I'm working on becoming, I'm a shopaholic, I'm working on getting control of my shopping addiction, it's much harder. But if you start identifying as somebody who is an ex-shopaholic who no longer shops, and you say that every single day, that truth becomes kind of ingrained in you, and you start enacting those actions of somebody who is an ex-shopaholic. And I think that this kind of worked for me in a way too. And the same thing if you want to be healthier. Instead of saying, if you want to clean up your diet, instead of saying, oh, I'm on a diet, you just say, this is my lifestyle, I'm a healthy person. And then you will act in accordance to that. So those are the ways to get control of your shopping and impulsive buying according to Reddit. I would love to know your thoughts. Again, if you have any tips or ideas or information that have not been mentioned, please leave them below. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.